Hello there. Today I wanted to talk a bit about speed. It's a bit of a tricky subject for a lot of people, I think, in terms of how you can improve it. A lot of us may feel like we have a sort of fixed level of speed, but really our speed is kind of based on your level of competency with a technique, and then the sort of more physical aspect of it is sort of fixed in a way, but you can still improve it. There are ways to kind of increase your physical, well, like actual muscle contraction speed. So speed is let's look at the first point. Your sort of technical ability, or like sort of skill level with certain techniques, will determine how fast you can perform them. If you're still in a beginner learning stage and you try and do a technique as fast as your muscles can do, it's going to be really uncoordinated and messy. So you have to have good foundation level of the movements. You have to be well coordinated, basically. So speed is kind of built up through multiple things. So it's built up through coordination, like the actual muscle contraction speed, and then things like timing. There's also a big element of speed as well. If you've got really good timing, it can feel like you're faster or you're moving faster than you really are. So, if your timing's really good and the opponent they throw some kind of move and it leaves an area exposed and you time it perfectly so it just hits it as soon as it appears, that weak spot, it can feel like, from their perspective, that as soon as they move they just get hit instantly. So timing's a big thing when it comes to speed as well. So for example, when it comes to the technical element of things, it's a simple movement like this one. Okay, so it's like this kind of block movement, then you grab, then you hit, like that. So if you try and do that before your body's or your brain has learnt the movement, it's going to be messy and uncoordinated. So you have to practice slow. You have to practice at a steady rate and let the speed come naturally. The speed will come naturally as a result of just doing it more and getting better at it. So a lot of the time with speed, you don't want to actually focus on trying to be fast. You want to focus on getting really good at understanding the movements that you're actually doing at a fundamental level. So you practice things slowly and concentrate on every element of the movement and just keep doing it, lots of repetitions. Eventually that connection in your brain that you forge every time you do this movement becomes a lot stronger, and it comes to the point where you can do it without having to think about it. When you're at that sort of stage, then you can start thinking about speeding it up more and focusing more on that. So you can think about trying to speed it up, but only once you've got to that stage. You have to build it up slowly, and the majority of your practicing will be done at a slower speed until you got to the point where you don't really have to think about what you're doing anymore. So the big thing with speed is actually not trying to think about speed, as silly as it sounds. When it comes to actually improving the contraction speed of like your own muscles, that is based around building up what we call type 2 muscle fibers. So you got like type 1 and type 2. Technically there's two types of type 2. There's like type 2A and B. But basically, type 1 is like slow twitch. They're like endurance muscles. They can last a long time. They're good for running endurance events. Type 2 is more like explosive, really strong, big power movements. And they're fast twitch. They can contract quickly. So to build up more type 2 muscles, we all have different amounts of each. So I'm quite naturally fast because I've got quite a lot anyway. But I also do a lot of training that's based around building up lots of type 2. As a side effect, I've not got as much type 1, so it's like either both. So for building type 2, you want to do heavy sort of movements and trying to contract fast. I've mentioned this quite a few times before, but you want to do sort of heavy lifting, heavy sort of resistance training. You want to try and do the contraction phase really as fast as you can. The release, relax, or the eccentric phase, as it's called, can be slower, especially if you're still trying to have the muscles, what we call time and detention. If you want that time and detention to remain the same level, you want a fast contraction but slow release to still give your muscles the same amount of work to do, basically. So that's a little bit about speed. It's a bit of a tricky topic, but Hope you sort of understand a bit more about it now, and I'll see you in the next video.